welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to show you guys how to pack and ship a bicycle. I recently sold this guy here on eBay, and I will go through now, take apart what needs to be taken apart, protect the frame, show you how to put it all together, and put it in one of these nifty bike boxes that I have. If you sold a bike on eBay or online in some way, and you have to ship it, the first thing you need to do is go to the bike shop, walk in and ask somebody working there, hey, do you guys have any bike boxes that I could take? And normally, they'll be more than happy to give you several bike boxes. I think I walked out with 3 before. But my car, even though I can fit a lot of stuff in it, I can put 2 bike boxes in it. So anyway, they're usually happy to give away a few. And before I put anything online, before I try to sell any bike that I know that I'm going to have to ship, that's the first thing I do. I make sure that I have a couple of these on hand. Because if you sell something online, usually your turnaround time is only a couple days, and I don't want to be scrambling trying to find a bike box or some way to ship this at the last minute. You'll thank yourself after the fact, because it just makes everything a lot easier. You don't have to run around and try to procure a box and everything that you need. So it's all in hand, you're ready to ship, and you can take your time and do it right. And that's what I'll show you to do now. So to get this bike to fit into this box, the name of the game is taking things off and packing them securely and tightly together so that everything fits in that box. Normally that's, you got to take your handlebars off, you got to remove your saddle and seat post, your pedals, the rear derailleur, and the wheels have to come off, obviously. And then you have to know how to put everything together and get it to fit in there. It's pretty tight too. Pop out the seat post and the seat, which is pretty easy. And now I'll try to get that stem. There you go, came right loose, nice. But before I remove it, I will take off the wheels. Not as well as I would like it to. Keep working on this YouTube channel. I'm going to buy some tools, namely a nice pedal wrench, a nice set of Allen keys, and most likely some cone wrenches. Drop the washer there, so I saw where it went. Drop more washers. So here's how I learned to protect the tubes. When you're shipping things, you got to be concerned about this box bumping up against whatever UPS or FedEx might have in their trucks, or getting crushed. You got to think about stuff like that. The best way I've learned to protect the tubing on a bicycle is regular 1-inch pipe insulation. So I'll just eyeball it, cut it to length, and then secure it with zip ties. It's a pretty straightforward process, and I think it works really well. So let's start on a down tube here. And again, every tube that might be crushed. Some of these are a little bit more difficult to get in. You can cut a little piece to get in here. So, you do what you can, try to cover every piece that you find. So I've got most of the tubes covered, but let me go ahead and show you how I zip tie those on there just to demonstrate that. And then I'll go through and cover the rest of the tubing. And I actually do a little bit on the cranks and the chain ring, because the way I pack these, maybe there's a better way to do it if somebody wants to enlighten me, but I actually will secure some pipe insulation on the bottom of the chain ring to cushion it from the bottom of the box. But I'll show you how to do that in a moment. So for now, let's put some zip ties on here. So 1 zip tie per piece of foam insulator. Pipe insulation should be sufficient. So here's the finished product once you get all the tubes on the bicycle covered with the pipe insulation. And I think you can see on the video, I even put some on the cranks, put some on the bottom of the chain ring that will be resting at the bottom of the box. And lastly, this is one last thing that I do just to keep things from banging around too much. I put the pipe insulation on the non-drive side of the crank arm, and then I actually zip tie the crank arm to the chainstay, and that prevents it from rolling around. So once that's all done, you have to now secure the dropouts on the frame. So you'll be shipping the bike without your wheels in there, which means the axle will not be resting in the dropouts. And at that point you run the risk of, if the shipping company smashes the box, pushes something heavy against the bike, you can bend the dropouts or bend the chain stays and seat stays of the frame. In other words, you can ruin the bicycle. So the way I do that and secure those, I will measure the dropout, which I'm pretty sure these are 135 millimeters, but I take my nice metal ruler. Okay, I was mistaken. These are 130 millimeters. So with this case, we got 130, 100 in the front. So the way I deal with that, this is a wooden dowel. You also buy this at the hardware store. Mine's crude and rude, but I think it works because I've never had anybody complain to me otherwise, and it seems really secure when I do it. I cut a piece of wooden dowel at approximately that distance, so in our case it would be 130 millimeters, and then I will take electrical tape and tape, secure it so it does not come out, and I will do that now. So as you can see, cut it to 130 millimeters, it fits in there snugly, which is what you want. In the front, I cut it slightly too small. It's probably 98 millimeters, but it'll still work. Once I tape it in there, it'll work. So now, start with the electrical tape. But I think before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and pop off that derailleur there so we can tape it even more securely. So I have the dropout secure, and one thing did cross my mind as I was putting that in there that I forgot to mention. Many times when you go to the bike shop and they'll give you a bike box, a lot of times they'll throw in these plastic braces, I call them. I don't know what the right term is. But when the company ships the bike to the bike shops, they instead of using something like this, they actually have these hard plastic braces that they slide up into the dropouts, and they usually stay in place. So if you're lucky, when you get your bike box, those will be in there, and you can use those instead of something like this. So the next thing we have to secure on this bike is to protect this derailleur. I will wrap it in, well, I have some bubble wrap here that I got from some auto parts that I ordered online. I'll just wrap it in the bubble wrap and then secure it with tape or zip ties. You can use zip ties up here between the chain stays. Now everything's secure. I popped the handlebars out of the steer tube, and the stem is attached there. So when I slide it into the box, I like to, it depends on the bike. You might have to loosen the handlebars and adjust them, but many times I just rest the handlebars against the frame like that, and then I'll try to scoot it back to the back of the box so that you have room in the front to put the wheels. There you have it. There is a bicycle in a box. So now for the wheels and the remaining pieces that we have. I just wanted to show you guys this. These are the quick releases I just pulled out of the wheels. Now this bike was manufactured in 1991, and as you can see, there is absolutely zero corrosion on those quick releases. Somebody bought this bike and it sat in a very comfortable place for all those years. And you find those sometimes. So the person that purchased this bike on eBay is getting a good deal in my opinion. So for the wheels, the first thing you need to do is let the air out of the tires. It just saves you that much more space in the box when you need it. Wheels, the main thing that you have to be concerned with are the ends of the axle on the wheel. This is kind of a difficult thing to work with. The best thing I have done so far is to just cover with some pieces of cardboard. I noticed that sometimes when you get a bike box, they'll have these plastic covers that go over the ends of the axles, and they have a very broad base to them. And they work really well, but a lot of times those are missing, so I've oftentimes had to just sort of improvise again, and this is what I've come up with. I just protect it with a piece of cardboard, and I tape them in with electrical. So once I started that, I quickly realized that electrical tape is not going to cut it. So I brought out the duct tape, and as you can see, it's a little ugly, but once I get some more tape on here, it should do a pretty good job of protecting the axles and protecting the frame while it's in the box. So now I'll go ahead and secure this one, and I'll do the other wheel. So I managed to get the bike in here. This is, in my opinion, the most difficult part of packing a bicycle. You have to get everything in there without, well, what's the word I'm looking for here? You have to get everything in there as tight as you can get it without anything banging against the sensitive part on the bike, without scratching paint, and still being able to close the box. So as you can see, I have the front wheel shoved against the main triangle of the frame. If you can see down in there, I have, here's the axle that's been protected, and then I have the pipe insulation here that's protecting the spokes. There's more room at the front of the box for the rear wheel because you have the cassette, and the length of the axle is more, so you're going to need more room for that. You can see why I mentioned letting the air out of the tires. So this is about the best way I could see at the moment. I got the tire resting against the frame there. I don't think I might have to secure some cardboard or something in there to make sure that that rim isn't going to hit the frame. The axle is free, not touching the frame. It is pressing against the side of the box, but it is protected, so that's about as good as I'm going to get it there. Up front, move this handlebar out of the way. The cassette is facing out, and the other end of the axle is facing in. Just looking at that, okay, there's something I might want to change. I'm not sure if you can see, but here are the cantilever brakes at the front of the fork. I may want to turn the fork around the other way so that they're not resting against the axle of the wheel. I hope you can see that without it getting too blurry. And then the last thing I'll do, I'll have to secure the handlebar and stem in there in a way that's going to make it fit well. And last but not least, just the parts that I had laying around. So I have a water bottle cage. I actually just throw that in there. It's made out of plastic and it won't hurt a thing as it is in transit. I took that bag with the quick releases and I just zip tied the pedals to that, and I will wrap it in bubble wrap. And kind of the same story with the seat. I took some pipe insulation to cover the seat post, bubble wrap with some duct tape, and that should keep it secure and nice and new on its travels to the new location. And then once I'm done, since that's all done, I'll just set that in the bike box. If I need to secure it to the frame in any way, I will. But I have a feeling that this stuff will probably be fine, just kind of riding in the box with everything else. So now the last step is packing tape. You can see from your vantage point, but I go pretty liberal on the packing tape. I certainly don't want the box popping open and then somebody trying to figure out how to put this bike back in the box. Odds are they wouldn't do it right and something would get damaged. So the more tape, the happier and better that I feel. So everything's ready to go. You can see there's a bike in there. It doesn't bounce. You don't hear anything rattling when you shake the box or scoot it around, so it seems secure. The last step will be to go online. I usually purchase a shipping label from shipbikes.com, and I find that's a pretty good service. It's easy to use, and they ship via FedEx. And when I usually ship a bike to somebody that purchases a bicycle from me, I will use the door-to-door service. So they will pick it up at my front door, ship it using FedEx Ground, and then drop it off at the customer's front door. I just find that to be pretty convenient for me. That way I don't have to run to FedEx and drop it off and wait in line. It's like $5 extra, and I think it's worth that. Lastly, you can require to have a signature upon delivery of the bike. I have tried that in the past. it's probably not a bad idea. I haven't done it recently though. Usually I'm shipping to somebody's home address, so I know exactly where it's going to go. And if FedEx has a question, I will actually provide them with my cell phone number from the person shipping from. And then there's a slot when you fill the form out for a phone number at the destination address, which I pretty much never have that. So I put mine in there too. And actually I had a FedEx person call me at one point saying, hey, where would you like me to put the box? Over the fence or on the front porch? I said, well, I'm actually the seller, but if you would, please put it on the front porch. So it kind of gives you that little extra opportunity to make sure that it's there. So I like that too. But that's that. Once I get the label, I usually put it right here where it's very visible to the delivery person. And then I'll drop it off on the front porch.